Welcome back to Monster in My Closet, the podcast where we shine a light on the professional world's darker corners. I'm Anil Saxena, joined by my co-host, the founder of Medusas, Morgan Hunter. Each episode, we tackle the fears and faux pas that haunt our work lives, with insights, interviews, and a dash of humor, some stupid analogies, and probably swearing. So if you've ever felt like you're navigating a workplace labyrinth, a never-ending approval process, an evil hall of mirrors, or a constantly ending quarter, you're in the right place. Let's confront those monsters together. Are you ready? Let's begin. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Monster in My Closet. So Morgan, this week, are we scared or scary?
We're scared. Yeah. We're scared of giving a little pushback. Let's get into that.
Giving a little pushback. We're scared of pushing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could be, depending on what kind of mosh pit you're in. That could be terrifying. I don't know. Like, I remember being an old man, right? Mosh pits. I don't know why that turned out to be a thing. Like, you're dancing and pushing people. It doesn't make sense anymore, but it happened. It was a thing.
It did.
Right? Like, oh, I got a bloody nose in the mosh pit. Like, why?
At the VFW hall.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Where all the little punk bands used to play.
Yes.
I respect that joints because of that.
I feel you. So today we are going to talk about learned helplessness. So in the dark corners of the workplace lurks the elixir of learned helplessness. This week, we unveil the chilling consequences of over-serving your customers and partners and arm you with strategies to empower them instead. Don't let their reliance become your nightmare. So 3 things we want to talk about today. First, we want to define learned helplessness and see what it means in the business environment. And second, we want to talk about impacting our over-servicing of customers and partners, right? Talk about how that excessive support can lead to over-reliance and can stymie business growth. And then finally, as always, we want to give you some strategies for empowering customer and partners to be more self-reliant and for you to stop worrying about their learned helplessness. So, Morgan, why is this a topic that we want to talk about?
This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I feel like for small businesses in particular, like if you get too reliant on your partner, so if you're a channel partner and like the big dog, whatever that SaaS company is, you get too reliant on them, then you forget how to grow your own business and you forget how to make your own business decisions and prioritize your own work. And it's highly detrimental. So you can get really stuck in your business by becoming too reliant on other people to tell you what to do. And I want to break that cycle and help businesses operate independently and with confidence again.
Yeah. And I think this is such an interesting topic. I know I've done a bunch of research on this, and the whole terminology of learned helplessness has some connotations to it. I mean, when Martin Seligman kind of did his initial research on it, for those of you that are curious about that research, I would say if you're a dog lover, be prepared to be pissed off. But interesting ideas around the fact that we kind of condition ourselves to just accept things over time. And it's that whole notion of like, that'll never happen around here, that kind of thing. It's really insidious, right? It causes apathy and procrastination and poor problem solving. It is a very powerful thing that has hold of our organizations. And it's something that happens pretty often, right? Even in our personal life. How have you seen it kind of manifest in the workplace?
I think the lowest hanging fruit for me is the report. I'm just seriously ad hoc reporting request from partners. There's a lot of time and energy put into like creating dashboards and getting reliable information to channel partners out there. But before that happened, I'm going to call Bob. Bob's going to run me a special secret report that only Bob can run. And now I've got that report and I can run my business. And the challenge is a lot of times we don't break that cycle of going to Bob to get the report once the dashboards and everything are put in place. And so you rely on the old school system, which bogs down Bob. He can't do his job. And as a consumer of that information, you're not getting smarter about that information, that data, those reports, how you can manipulate those reports, et cetera. That's just one example. Training individuals in your organization. It's like, look, you need to set up your own training capability as a business. If you're in this business of developing or delivering an X technology space, then you should be able to train your own people on how to be successful in that space. I'm not saying that, SaaS companies shouldn't give you the tools to do it, but you need to develop that capability so you can scale your business. So those are just a couple of examples, but they're very, like you said, insidious, and they can be negatively impactful over the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the thing that's interesting to me is that in the beginning, right, where you're doing extra things for your customers or partners or coworkers, a little bit of like, I want to prove my value, right? And I want to kind of justify my existence. But what that quickly turns into is you get pigeonholed into, the report person or the the trainer or whatever, instead of really being able to help your client, partner, customer grow in a way that is sustainable. The other thing that I've seen with technologies in particular is when you don't get out of that vicious cycle of being really reliant on somebody else to do the thing, that oftentimes those implementations don't go exceptionally well, right? Like when the partner leaves or when the consultant leaves the organization, there is a tendency for things to unravel, right? Because there isn't the muscle memory in place to be able to do the things that you need to do. I mean, I think if you right, like you take it into your own kind of personal life, and when you're working with a dog trainer, and you get a new puppy, you're trying to train that puppy, and you take them to class every week, and if you're over reliant on that trainer to help you with that dog, when you're done with that class, the dogs are just going to go back to whatever, chewing your shoes, like peeing in the corner or whatever the dog was doing that you're trying to break them of that.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I was just thinking physical therapy is like that too,
Yeah.
right? You can't just go to physical therapy once a week and then blow off all your physical therapy in the days in between. You're not going to recover successfully. So there's so many things that are like that. You got to put the work in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it hinders your ability to really grow beyond where you are right now. If you're kind of allowing that over reliance. So, what are some of the signs that you've seen that customers or partners or employees or whatever are becoming over reliant, negatively over reliant on services?
I think when there's an expectation that you're going to deliver something outside the scope of the program. And we can have a whole long conversation about how to form your program. But like when you start expecting services outside the program and services that you have a perceived SLA around, like, hey, I'm going to ask Anil for a report and I expect it that day. That's not even the scope of the services that that company provides, right? So when you start getting a lot of requests outside the scope of the program, I would start asking questions. Are these requests inappropriate, or is our program not structured in a way to accommodate for these types of requests? So it's just extra programmatic request.
Yeah, and I would say, when you're getting those requests that don't really add to the value of the program or add to the
Mm.
value of the organization. They're sort of requests for the sake of requests, right? You were mentioning that thing about reports. And, I know one of the things that we would face a lot is partners would say, well, we want a download of the data, or we want to see kind of how we match up against other parts of our competitors. And it's like, well, you have access to that information.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're trying to do that is that data is going to be needed to
Mm-hmm.
make that decision? So I think that there's this fallacy that somehow giving people more information is going to help them make a better decision faster, quicker, whatever, unless they kind of have that
Mm-hmm.
idea in mind. I think that
Yeah.
that can,
More data is not going to help you if you don't know what you're doing with that data. It's
yeah,
just more data, and it can be even more confusing and misleading if you don't understand the question you're trying to answer.
yeah. So, what are the things that when we think about learned helplessness, um, is there a time that you kind of remember that it led to unexpected challenges for the business or for your organization?
Yeah. I think there's two scenarios. One, which was an unexpected challenge for the partner I was serving, and then another is an unexpected challenge for myself. I think one of the big examples is, let's say I'm going to keep using the report because that's the one that I'm still triggered by. Let's say company A or partner A person asks me for a report. Gary asked for the report. I give the report to Gary. Gary thinks he has a special connection to me and can use me as his personal secretary. Fine. I give Gary the report, right? But if Gary never learns to click on the link and view the report himself, then when Gary leaves the company, then no one in that company knows how to get that data. They don't even know who I am, right? So now there was data available that Gary was getting, but no one else knows how to access that data, and they don't have their own data set because they never bothered to build one because they could just always contact Morgan, right? So there's that. You have these special weird relationships, and then when those people leave, those relationships aren't there, and you miss the data. I think the other thing is about reporting is reporting can become your life if you're creating ad hoc reporting for a partner or partners. Ask me how I know, right? Ask me. And it can be very detrimental because if I am personally providing ad hoc reporting to a partner and the company I'm working for is not feeling that pain or feeling that request, then the need to create standard accessible reporting for partners may never be elevated. Excuse me. They may never prioritize the creation of those reports because, I'm working every weekend trying to create a report for special partner number one or special partner number two. I think running about a bunch of ad hoc requests, regardless of what they are, without attempting to operationalize them, right, can cause a lot of overwork and competing priorities for the person who's actually doing the work, even though they're well-meaning and they want to serve the partner or the
Yeah,
customer.
yeah, and I think there are times where we do this sort of extra efforts because we don't want we don't want to run into an escalation, or we don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
people to bring up issues. And so we over rotate to try to stem or stymie an issue that may never have originally raised its head, right? That part of what happens in organizations is we create these processes to solve a particular problem, and then
You know,
that process or that initiative becomes the norm because it's the way that we've always done it. And there's no real um, purpose. There was never really a purpose, a justifiable purpose, long-term purpose for that initiative, issue, or policy. It was, it was put in place and then never questioned. It reminds
mm,
me of, like, there's that old tale about, the mother who cuts the end off the ham before they put it into the oven. Everybody just does that in the family because that's the way the mom always did it. But when they asked mom, why did that happen? It's because the ham didn't fit into the oven that they had, right? So there was like a real reason for it, but everybody just kind of
right.
did it because it was like
Yeah,
mom did. And
no
so,
one.
I mean, I think we all kind of, in many organizations, that happens really, really frequently. I mean, even when you're rating people on performance or responding to an email or what have you, you're like CCing your boss because that's what you think you should do, right? I mean, I think it's
There's a weird phenomenon too that happens when you do something for someone else. I don't think it's as sticky as it is if they were to do it themselves. So if they came to you and said, train my sales team, and you train that sales team, then they don't have any investment in making sure that that sales team stays up to date, continues to remain trained, acquires new knowledge. They don't have any mechanisms in place to make sure that that happens. There's no value in it to them because they didn't have to do anything. And so I think kind of giving away stuff for free, giving away effort for free, just means that the result erodes faster over time than if the person were to do it themselves. So, I mean, I see that too. It's like there's a big push. I'm going to certify 500 people. And then a year later, it's like all your certifications have expired, blah, blah, blah. You still don't have a program in place for training. You got all these new salespeople, they're not trained. So, I mean, what good was that? What did that do for you, really? That one effort? Nothing.
yeah. And then the learned helplessness part of it to me comes in that we just go back to that program and we certified 500 people because now we're short on certifications. And so it's just like it is this vicious cycle where you keep doing something even though it's causing you a lot of pain, right?
Mm.
That's sort of when you go back and look at the experiment that led to this whole idea of learned helplessness, the kind of long story short of it, that I'm going to probably screw up majorly, is they put German Shepherds on kind of an electrified
Mm.
board
Mm.
and would, shock them and then give them an opening to get out of it, or a panel to touch the end of it to stop the shocking, but it wouldn't work, or they wouldn't move because they had gotten accustomed to that pain and they couldn't think of what it would be like to step away from it or end it. And so I think that happens a lot in many parts of an organization, right? That's why we do um, expense reports the way that we do them, right? It's not because they're exceptionally efficient. It's because, well, that's the way it's always been done. And so um, there's no questioning of why things happen the way that they do.
Yeah. I think another interesting thing, a learned helplessness that I've seen is asking your SaaS, say I'm a partner and I'm asking the SaaS company that I'm part of, that ecosystem, what my revenue goals should be, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask their opinion, but you should have your own revenue goals. And in an ideal world, they would align also to, reasonably to what the SaaS provider would like to see from you. But as a partner in the ecosystem, you should be asking the SaaS provider what your goals are. You should know what your goals are, and you should know how to determine those goals, right? You should have your business plan. You should be able to tell your SaaS provider exactly how you're going to get there,
Yeah.
right? So
It's
I just hate
interesting.
it when they're like, I don't know, tell me what to do. No, 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 no.
The thing that's interesting too is that that's the whole kind of thing about learned helplessness is that the SaaS provider or the organization allows that to happen. And it's like, well, we got to help them come up with a business plan and set a revenue target. And so you assign people to have that happen, and that becomes part of their job. And so it's this whole kind of vicious cycle of nobody's really doing the thing that they should be doing, but they're justifying
Mm-mm.
their existence because now that's their job, right? I've got
Mhm.
to, I've got to produce the TPC or whatever that report was from Office Space every Saturday, and it's got to have the memo stapled on the upper left hand side because that's the way that we've always done it, even if nobody
That's
looks at that report. Yeah.
the worst.
So
Oh,
what do we do? What can organizations do to impact or break the cycle of learned helplessness? What are some of the things that you've seen be beneficial?
so I think there's two approaches. One is what can organizations do? And then what can individuals do? So I will address those separately. So from an organization perspective, and this is going back to the program piece of it, a partner program. So I think that the programmatically you need to be explicit that in order to receive this benefit, whatever that benefit is, you must do X, right? And it's got to be something more than you need to hit a revenue goal or you need to have a certain number of certifications. I want to see the partner demonstrate business acumen. So the X in that scenario is in order to uh, get discounted training, you need to have a business plan in place,
Yeah.
right? Because then you know how you're going to use that training and what it's going to be used for, etc. I also think that the way partners move up the tiers should also be gated a little bit differently. So in order to move from tier 1 to tier 2, you need to have certain things in place as a business, right? So if you're going to the next tier, you need to have a sales training program in place. We will help you build that program, but you need to have it in place and you need to run that program because that's how you're going to meet the revenue goals of that next tier, right? So it's really about, hey, we're going to give you this, but you need to show up ready to play ball, right?
Right.
You need to show up with these things. And I think now segueing over to the individual thing is that individuals can do the same thing. So let's say someone wants to do a big training event. I will help you build out this training event, but you need to assign someone from your organization that's going to document and programatize the entire thing so that next time you can do it, right? So it's a partnership. It's a true partnership. It's not a gimme, do this for me. It's like I'll show up with my resources and my brain power, and you're going to show up with your resources and your brain power, and together we're going to make this scalable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I concur completely, right? You want to incentivize self-reliance, whatever that looks like, that you are making sure that your employee or the partner in question or your customer, that you're actually incentivizing them to be self-reliant and do things on their own. And part of how we do that is we make processes easier, eliminate steps, we automate where appropriate, we make sure that we're always asking the question, what if this was easier, right? Like that's the thing
Mm.
we need to be able to do when we're trying to incentivize that self-reliance. And then I think the other thing is that you want to make it cheaper if they do it on their own, or you want to do
Oh,
something where it's like, when you sign up for auto pay, right? Or something like that.
yeah.
You get 10% off or something like that when you buy on Amazon or, Thrive Market or whatever it is that you're doing.
I love that idea. I love so now my brain is going 100 miles an hour on all the ways that you could reduce the cost, like reduce the program cost for a partner, um, in return for them showing up prepared
Yeah.
to participate. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's super powerful because I think that's the that's the challenge that we face, right? That we set up these processes or initiatives or whatever, and then because it's easy, because it's easier not to change, we don't change them, and then we wonder why people are acting in the way that they're acting. And so I think that's a really important thing to incentivize, is making things easier, faster, smarter. And I think the other thing is that we have to be willing and okay to say no, that we're not going to do that anymore, or that you have to do that on your own. What I've seen is that you get a big customer or you get a big partner that says, well, if you don't do this, we're not going to do business with you anymore. And to me, it's like, okay, don't.
Right. Okay.
But
No, you and I are the same like that. Like, okay.
yeah, that's fine. Don't. That's okay with me. And because you're kind of calling their bluff, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're not
Right.
providing the information or doing the thing, doing the service.
Right. Yeah.
You're just saying, like, I'm not going to do it for you anymore because I've provided you everything that you need in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
Now I say that,
Yeah.
I'm going back in my mind thinking of all the times where I've done something like, well, I need you to do this. Like, if you don't do this, I'm not going to be able to do that.
Because you can. I mean, it's part of the game, and I'm not casting shade here. I'm just stating a fact. It's part of the
Yeah.
game in that
Yeah.
relationship. You're always going to want to test the boundaries like a teenager, right? Just testing boundaries of this relationship on a regular basis. And it's just, it's part of what makes business interesting is
Yeah.
testing boundaries. A person is just as likely to be entertained by a no as they are to be mad about a no.
Yes.
Yeah, they finally put their foot down. Ha ha. I mean, I've done that too because I'm just like ask, and then finally they're like, no, we can't do it. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But the important thing is that you have to have air cover though from your leadership to
Yeah.
do that, because they are going to make the call. They are going to escalate. If they know the CEO, they are going to absolutely pick up the phone and make that phone call because it's part of the game. So we need to anticipate that, provide air cover, and provide a solution. So we can't give it to you, but we can help you build that thing or help you institute that process within your organization. It's like saying no and yes at the same time.
Exactly.
But sometimes you got to let them escalate, and then you got to still say no.
That's right. That's the only way to kind of end the cycle of learned helplessness, is to really be able to put your foot down, but have something in the interim or in the background that's going to help them get what they need on their own. Like, you got to take the training wheels off at some point, or else you're never going to get balance. That's right. That is the nature.
Training wheels will jack you up too. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Right. That's right. It's like those people that I see driving around the 3-wheel motorcycles. It's like, if you're going to have a motorcycle, it shouldn't be a tricycle. Like, let's just be clear.
Oh, come on. I like a tricycle. It's like having a big wheel.
Yes, for those that don't have balance. Well, I definitely feel a little less scared. So if you're interested in learning more about learned helplessness and how to break that cycle, please check out our show notes. There's an extensive amount of information about that. Please make sure that you are sharing this podcast and you are giving us feedback, especially if it's good. And please support Medusas. It is the reason that we're doing this. So thank you very much for listening to another episode of Monster in My Closet, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
As we wrap up another episode here at Monster in My Closet, we want to thank you, our fearless listeners, for joining us on this journey of exploring what scares us or when we're scary. Professionally, of course. Together, we've ventured deep into the workplace wilderness armed with humor, insights, and a touch of irreverence, and hopefully learned something together along the way. But our journey doesn't end here. Monster in My Closet is proud to be part of Medusas.org. Medusas is a membership-driven, non-profit organization serving underrepresented groups, minorities, and individuals with disabilities who are doing business in the software-as-a-service space. We're a community created by SaaS professionals, for SaaS professionals, and even the SaaS curious. Visit Medusas.org to discover how you can contribute to a movement that empowers professionals to face their workplace monsters head-on. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your colleagues, and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us shine a light on the monsters lurking in the professional closet, making our community braver, stronger, and a little bit wiser. Until next time, keep challenging the status quo, embrace the journey, and remember, no monster is too big when we face it together. Cheers.